Hello, welcome to our video where we are going to present all of our developments and what you can find in QUICKSURFACE 2024. Let's begin. When you start QUICKSURFACE for the first time and load your old projects or our new examples, you will notice slight difference from the previous version. The obvious one is that now we have two panels on the left that will make your work much more effective. And what I mean with this is the traditional history bar that you know from QUICKSURFACE 2023, which contains all the features that you created in a chronological way. But at the same time, we have a top level tree that represents the objects on the screen in a more convenient way. What I mean with this, instead of going and searching for specific sketch which you need to edit, for example this one, they are all organized into categories here on this panel, so you can easily access them in a much more efficient way. For example, I can turn on or off all the sketches. I can just get focused on the solids. Of course, when you do reverse engineering, you need to end up with a single solid. And also you have control over these meshes and change the visibility. You can always work in parallel by going to this level and just modify, or you can work it straight from the objects panel here. The other feature that you may find really useful is that you can use the end of model marker. What I mean with this is you can just drag it and place it at the beginning, for example here, right after the meshes, and then I can start replaying my workflow so I can see what I have done. Or if you get a model from somebody else, you can just explore if they have made a mistake or help them. This will give you a lot of freedom for support. You can, for example, just right click and say place it at the end, and you can see the results. In this case, I can now easily hide all the planes as I don't need them. So this is quite convenient for your reverse engineering process. Looking at the top navigation bar, it looks exactly the same like before, but with a slight difference that we don't have the menus anymore, but we organize our workflow as what we call the workspaces. What I mean by workspaces is that if I go to scan data, now you can get a panel which is fully dedicated for the mesh processing. For example, I can just hide my solids, and now I can stay here and just spend my time improving my mesh, for example. You can see they're colored, so you can easily understand the thematics and what you need to do. Another example is if I go to construct, I'll be able to create the primitives. Or if I need to stay focused on my surfacing approach, I can switch to the surfacing panel, and then I can use all the functions here. So technically the commands are the same, but they are exposed in a much more convenient way. For example, this is the analysis panel. And the last thing that you may find really useful is that you can switch to what we call the dark theme. If you go to the workspace, I can just set the application look to dark, and I need to restart my software. Once I restart it, you can see that the theme now is dark, which is much more convenient for some people working during the evenings, or if they prefer the dark theme. I hope this is very useful, and I'll be moving to the next feature now. The next feature that we added in QUICKSURFACE is the ability to load long-range scan data. I'm just going to open, and it's normally in E57 file format. E57 file format is very common for every LiDAR data, and the main idea is you store all the scans as points. There is a big difference between having the data as points or as meshes. Using the meshes is something that we handle very well, so you can create surfaces, extract the topology and analyze, while the point clouds is just a bunch of points in space like you see on the screen. Despite this, you can do a lot of operations and be able to extract some interesting features. One thing that I'm going to demonstrate is, for example, you can just create a clipping box and I can just trim this here, and I can just concentrate on the area that I need and that I understand. I can just accept here. One of the challenges with the E57 file format is the size that you need to bring in, because in this case you're talking about hundreds of millions of points. And what else you can do? You can just create planes and extract the cylinders in the same way as before. You can see I fitted the plane here. I can analyze, for example, 0.01 meter, and you can see the deviation. Then you can create this as a reference plane. You can also align. For example, here I can just pick this plane and we'll be able to extract the outlines. So it's not a mesh, but a lot of the features that you already can do with meshes you also can do with LiDAR data. For example, you can just extract fit rectangles here in the same way, or you can extract the cylinders, and then you can just reconstruct your shapes and export these as a solid, or analyze your data here. You can also apply compare. For example, this is too tight, 0.5, and you can see the deviations and how quickly it works even with the E57 scan data. In QUICKSURFACE 2024 we added two interesting mesh features. One is called the feature. I'm just going to edit my scan and place it on top view. What you can do is just using the selection tool. In this case it's a rectangle. I can just select the option which is called the feature. It will just remove everything, will technically delete and fill the holes, and it's quite useful. The same thing you can do in a circular area, or you can just use the other type of selection. Furthermore, you can, even if you have something like a big feature like this one, you can also apply this onto the feature option. You can see I just removed it, and the last example is this one. I can just select and say the feature, so you can remove some of the unwanted areas of your scan, so you can make it more effective for automatic surfacing or other feature extraction. The other feature that we added is this one. In some cases you scan and all you need to do is just take this to the printer, which is enclosed surface, but we introduced this projection of the boundaries on the XY plane. It's available in the edit menu. It's a very simple operation. You just press project and it will solidify the object, which then you can export. I just press export and I can bring it into my slicing software like this one. Press slicing and the software will automatically generate the path for me. You can see it's ready to be printed, and you can see the structure here. It will save you a lot of time if you want to go straight from 3D scan to printing. We'll be moving to the next feature now. This is probably one of the most exciting features for me in QUICKSURFACE 2024, and it's related to the hybrid modeling. If you can see, this part has some prismatic shapes, one at the back and one in the front, which is important how they will connect, and then the rest is a completely free-form body. What we can do here is using our new envelope function. What I mean with this is be able to get rid of everything, so I can leave this for automatic surfacing. How it works, you go to edit scan and select this split mesh with the other. We already have this splitting, but the difference is here that in many cases you have transitions and you want to get more out of the mesh. So for this reason we'll use the envelope option. I need to pick my trimming tool. What we can control here is the distance from the cut model, cut surfaces to the actual mesh. I'll demonstrate. For example, if I press 0.5 millimeters, it will just create an envelope around this shape and then get rid of the mesh, everything which is 0.5 millimeter in distance. In this case, I still didn't do my job properly, so I can put it 1 millimeter and press preview. You can see that it got now much better, and I can just accept. What I can do is do the same on the back side. In this case, I will just select the back faces. Again, I'm trying to remove the fillet here. We'll use 1 millimeter, and then I can press OK. Now, as we did this, you can see we managed to get a better boundaries. I'm going to edit the individual meshes, pick the main body and leave it only. This is much suitable for automatic surfacing, and what we're going to do is now you can use the auto surface. I leave the default settings so you can see the results. Wait for a few seconds until everything is completed. No user interaction. And in order to complete our project now, I'm going to select my auto surface and edit. What we introduce here is the ability to offset the boundaries. I'll just show the front faces. We'll double click to select the whole edge, and we'll select the command which is called offset boundary to the surface. What we have as an option here is the extra distance. This will project to the closed surface, and then we'll give an extra distance for the trim operations. You press OK, so this is good enough. Let's do the same on the back side. I will just hide the front and show the back surfaces. Double click to pick this boundary and tell the software to offset. You can see this saves you a lot of time. It makes a simple offset, but then with the option that you can turn off the snapping, I will simply select this and probably I will scale a little bit. I can even move to improve the shape so I can get as close as possible. I can select some area of interest and I can close. To complete the project, what I need to do is just select everything and just trim. You can see how quickly I can now make hybrid modeling with QUICKSURFACE. And we have now the solid body, and we successfully completed our project. This is a technique that is very unique to QUICKSURFACE and will allow you to create your project much more efficiently. We'll be moving to the next feature introduced in QUICKSURFACE 2024, and it is to get more of the 3D sketching. I'll just go quickly and demonstrate by creating a simple 3D sketch. I will not be too precise, you can spend more time. What I'm trying to do is, and what I want is to create a shape around this area, the scan data. And what we try to do is to make this more natural and easy to use. What we do here is just try to outline the shape by drawing the 3D sketch directly onto the scan data. You can do and spend more time to get the most of your 3D sketch. And this is our outline here. I can perhaps modify this to get a good boundaries, but I'm not really precise right now. And then I can press OK. What we introduce here in the surfacing is what is called the fill surface. You may know this from the cut packages, and you need to get the boundaries of your shape, and the software automatically will create a surface based on these curves. I can just press OK, and you can see that it has now a great new approximation of our curves. Now the problem with this is that if I compare even 0.1 millimeter, we are too far from the underlying mesh, and what people do trying to create the cross sections and more. What we have here is, if I just go and edit back my fill surface, is we introduce the option which is called on scan data. If you click this, the software analyzes and fits best fit surface on the scan data. You have options to control the number of control points. You can increase and remove the smoothing, and so you can get a better approximation of the scan data. And as you can see now, if I compare, I'm way closer to the desired results. I'll just hide the 3D sketch and remove the mesh so you can understand better the quality of what we did just for a few seconds. As we have now created this freeform surface directly on the scan data, there is something that you also can do, and is you pick this surface, you go to surfacing, and we introduce the Flaton command. What the Flaton command will do is take a single surface and will unroll, unfold, and will create a 2D sketch, which is editable. I can just go to edit, it creates splines. What you can do now, you can export as a DXF file format. I'll just export this here, and then I can just bring it into my other 2D packages as a DSF. You can see that it's here. I can just do my normal operations here, be able to place it into the plotter software, and then I can just send it directly to the printer and for the cutting. This is another function that you can use in other applications. In some cases, like the one on the screen, some of the areas are what we call partial revolved. What I mean is that this is a revolved surface, the profile, but it's not a fully 360, but only part of the object is needed to reconstruct. So what I mean with this is, let's quickly reconstruct the shape. I will just pick the correct axis here, take the profile, and we'll very quickly recreate the shape here. I'm not very accurate, just to demonstrate this feature, so I just quickly brush over the lines. In this case, they are not even constrained properly, so we can just do this for the demonstration. And I'll be closing the profile so I can create my revolved surface. Just a second until we close the shape. And this is with the simple control brush we can intersect. And I am going to create my revolved surface. In the previous version, as you know, we only supported the full 360. What we introduce now is that you can use the partial revolve, so you can control with the two different angles. For example, this one. In some cases you may need to inverse, so you can create the other side of the shape, so we also have this control. The interesting point here is that we also support the snapping. If you just click on the snapping 0.05 millimeters, let's say this, then when I drag, it just picks a point from the mesh, and then you can choose where it needs to be. Of course, you have full control to control the other angles as well, so you can get the best possible result. So that's the new thing about the partial revolve. When we do a solid modeling, for example, I'm building the main body, and what I want to do is have a revolved solid here that cuts, removes material. In the previous version, we just create this revolved shape, and then after that we apply the cut operation. What we introduce here to save time to the user, you can apply this immediately in the construction of the revolved surface. This saves you time in the feature tree, so you have less features to worry about. And this is also applicable for the extruded surface. For example, here I can just create this extruded surface, and instead of creating it as a new solid, I can immediately just tell the software, okay, you are a cut operation, so cut from existing shape. This will save the user a lot of steps in the features tree. So this is an optimization process. This is just an example. You can see that this is a challenging shape that you want to create cross sections. Even if I try the multiple cross sections, it won't going to work very well. So what I can do is I can just go to Surfacing 3D Sketch and I can just draw the bone which will guide me to create these cross sections. I need to move this here. So you can see now I defined my curve that will help me to drive my cross sections. Let's improve this, and the next step would be if I just use my status here, I can just apply so I can get the selection. I can go to multiple sections. You can see that by default it's only in the direction of planes, but what we introduced is a curve guide option, so I can pick this curve and then I can just move. You can see that it's tangent to the plane, to the curve. I can just set up the spacing to 20 for the demonstration, just to reduce the number of cross sections, and then I can rebuild this probably with 10 points, or in our case I can just rebuild it with circles instead of splines, and I can create these cross sections. Now, as I have all of them, what I can do is simply using our loft command to recreate the shape that it's needed for the purposes of the modeling. I hope this feature is also useful. Thank you for watching.